This is my biofuel video project on biobutanol. So what is biobutanol? Biobutanol is a four-carbon renewable alcohol fuel that is produced through the fermentation of biomass and highly considered an alternative for gasoline. Certain types of biomass that are used include sugar beet, corn, and any material that contains cellular mass. Unlike the methanol and ethanol that are considered as a first-generation biofuel, which is a type of biofuel made from fermented food crops, biobutanol is considered a second-generation biofuel. The second-generation biofuel is a type of biofuel that is produced from non-food biomass such as grasses and agricultural waste. As a second-generation biofuel, biobutanol is shown to be a better alternative than the biofuels that humans use every day. So how is biobutanol produced? Now, biobutanol is produced or cultivated primarily through the fermentation process of biomass while using a specialized bacteria known as Clostridium. The process is widely known as acetone butanol ethanol fermentation, or known as the ABE. This process converts carbohydrates into solvents. The process begins with photosynthesis as certain types of crops are converted to sunlight into glucose, in which the fermentation process begins, with the bacteria metabolizing the glucose from photosynthesis in order to produce biobutanol. The image below shows the conversion from biomass into biorefinery into the fermentation of bioethanol, as both bioethanol and biobutanol have the same processes. The development status of biobutanol and the impacts of carbon footprint. Now, biobutanol is currently at a low stock development status, that it is not mainly compared to other mainstream biofuels such as ethanol and methanol. The biofuel is still in the development status as small markets and companies are testing certain ways it has produced efficiently. Unfortunately, large companies and markets tend to have struggles when developing biobutanol, as it costs a lot of money to produce with a lower fermentation process compared to ethanol and methanol. However, biobutanol is highly considered to reduce carbon footprint as to compare with other biofuels. This is due to the fact that biobutanol produces less greenhouse gases compared to any of the other biofuels. What are the economic impacts of biofuel? Biofuel compromises a high-energy renewable energy source that has the same properties as gasoline. This would produce greater amounts of economic impacts such as job creation, energy efficiency, and reduced greenhouse gas emissions. The market for biobutanol is growing rapidly as the return on investment for the production of this biofuel is estimated around 19.87% with efficient production methods. Biobutanol is also price competitive as it costs an entire estimate of 0.5 to 0.75 cents when produced per liter. The two following images right here show some of the current gasoline markets and companies that use gasoline, which then that gasoline can show an alternative towards biobutanol. The communication to the public and current analysis of the situation. The efforts to promote biobutanol can come from certain parts of the market, in which includes the energy companies, research institutions, government agency. Communication to the public can include advertisement campaigns and partnerships in order to show that biofuel can be compatible to gasoline needy vehicles and machines. One type of example of this communication can be demonstrated by the government organization that has spread public awareness for better public funding and research opportunities. As from multiple sources, we know that this type of biofuel can be considered the next type of biofuel generation, in which can indeed replace gasoline in total. And now we go on to the recommendation and plan of action of biobutanol. Some of these recommendations include using cheaper and more efficient biomass, such as agricultural waste, improving fermentation process, better persuasion to the government, and more foreign funding toward the machineries needed for production of biobutanol. And the plan of actions can include expansions of research development, increase in biomass for fermentation, industry and company support, and finally, better government fundings for efficient amounts of evidence towards the benefit of biobutanol. And now we go on to the 4 citations listed over here. The last 2 citations show the two images that were shown, specifically talking about what type of companies would more likely to use biobutanol, and the information of biobutanol from these 2 first citations. And thank you. That is my presentation.